Hi guys, and welcome back to the Lighthouse Projector series. I am so excited because, this is the topic that I am so fascinated with, but not in my usual where I could go and research and tell you all about it. This is something that I am not an expert on, but I am really, really excited because, when I started talking about this topic with Annita, it turns out that Annita has this wonderful, I would say, treasure trove of insights, and we're just going to talk about this. So no longer we're going to delay. We're going to highlight Chiron. Chiron as a small planetary body. It's like an asteroid or with some comet-like attributes. So in the beginning, people didn't even know what it was like. Was it an asteroid? Was it a Chiron? So it's a kind of like unclear little planetary body that, in terms of our astrology and in terms of the influence, and with human design as well, I think that this is one of the best kept secrets in a way, or not even. It's not that even a secret, but it is an overlooked area. And personally, with any of the modalities and any kind of systems and concepts that I am introducing into my life, I always look for very practical application, especially with what I do with the online visibility, because being an entrepreneur, it's not all about business, and we jump into learning about business, or we jump into learning about marketing, and yet the truth about the success in this domain is about personal growth, and it's about healing. It's about healing yourself. I think that when you are true to yourself, and I know that there's people who are making a lot of money out there and they're not healed and full of trauma, but I think that when you're doing it yourself, it's a journey that you're facing. You're facing your wounds, you're facing your trauma, you're facing all that, and the journey of entrepreneurship is to push your comfort zone and to actually heal through that. I feel the last 9 years I'm in this online business, in my business as myself. I worked for other people, but for myself for 9 years. So I'm finishing my first 9-year cycle. And I know that I'm not the person I was 9 years, not just because we grow naturally, everyone changes, and learns the lessons, but it was the business that, forced me into doing a lot of looking in the mirror, really looking at myself and seeing, where am I hiding? Why am I procrastinating? Why do I not have discipline for this or that? And I am just a human like everybody else. I still procrastinate. I still hold back. I still hide, and it's a journey, it's not like a destination that you've just healed and all of a sudden you're all like guns blazing, showing up online. It just doesn't work in real life like this. So in real life, we're facing this, but what it helps is creating or gaining the awareness. And the awareness is such a power, because when you're aware that you're actually dealing right now with your some kind of old trauma, ancestral gift you got, or a wound, the awareness of it straight away doesn't allow you to sort of be there for too long. You start looking for a way out. You're just physically and mentally, you just wouldn't get stuck. And that's what it's all about. It's about getting unstuck. And this is why I love Chiron, and what it represents. And I love that Annita will be able to tell us, about it. And maybe we can then go a little bit into how this awareness, you don't need to, this is not a lecture here, but just by being aware and then looking up, where is Chiron hiding in your chart? And by the way, if you have a free, for example, human design chart, Chiron is not on those charts. It's the kind of like a hidden next level layer. Although if you're a 6-line person, for example, in human design, you heard the Chiron. I mean, everyone has what we call Chiron return, is where the position of the Chiron that it was when you were born comes back into exactly the same position, and sort of like brings this learning experience to conclusion. Have you healed your wound? Have you learned what it is? And we all experience this at some stage around our 50-year mark. I know the day when that's going to happen, because you can calculate that too, but it's not really about that date. It's a process, right? And of course, we have to think about what Chiron is. In Greek mythology, it's a really wise centaur who was, godlike, immortal creature. And he was really wise. He was an advisor and a healer, as well. And when we're talking about Chiron, we're talking about a wound, because in the mythology, what happened is he was advising Hercules, and Hercules um, accidentally shot Chiron with his poisonous arrow, which created a wound. And Chiron, being an immortal creature, was then destined to forever suffer from this unbearable wound. And then we know the story of Prometheus, who brought the fire to the people. So what Chiron did, he went to Zeus and he offered his mortality for saving Prometheus from being stuck on the, on the rock with eagles eating his liver every day, and then the liver would regrow. So there's like all these sufferings that they had in ancient Greece. But it's really interesting. So this wound and the destiny of forever dealing with your wound is really what we are kind of learning through this, Chiron, I feel, and we're going to go into detail. I'm just giving you my overview in a way. And so there's this wound. We sometimes don't know exactly what this wound is. It's so deep, but it's something that blocks us. It's something that we do need to face. And it's also at the same time a medicine for us when we see it in the right way. And so, I think that by really being aware about what is your wounding, what is Chiron in your chart, in your design, what is it highlighting there, and what do you need to consciously, with your awareness, address, there is a lot of wisdom that we can get from that. So I'm going to stop talking because I want to pass the mic to Annita and tell us, why is it so important? And I will share as well my view as well about this year, for example, because, Chiron was still is, as we record this, I think is in retrograde. So there was an influence of that. But anyway, Annita, take it away.
Yeah, that's really good. It's funny, as I love the mythology, but I love even more as the 5-1 projector. I love to get down and dirty with what it means in my life, how it impacts me,
Yeah.
and how do I overcome this, or how do I work this. I really, I'll start saying I wanted to change the name from Wounded Healer to the Hidden Gift, because, sometimes healer could really indicate this is something we need to fix, when actually it's something we need to master. And that's a very important point with this. You can get sucked into and stuck in that healing trap, which the universe just continues to give you something to heal. And the truth is, it's the energy that we're here to master. So, okay, my perspective on the Chiron, getting into the practical, is this planet was discovered in 1977, and it has a 50-year cycle. So it circumnavigates the Earth over a 50-year period. Now, it's something we all have, we all experience it, as Juliette said. But it's really about, it's our energetic sensitizer. It's our energetic antenna, for want of a better word. And it teaches us where we manage our energies that are out of integrity with who we are and why. And the big core behind this Chiron wound, we'll call it, is a deep unconscious fear of rejection for being yourself. Okay, so we see this everywhere. The rejection can be something really simple. It doesn't have to be a major trauma. It can be literally like that you're just born and your mom has had a tough time with the birth and she goes, oh my God, just, give me a minute before I hold my baby. That can be enough to to set up this rejection wound. But you can see how society sets it up as well, right? I was born and raised in a Catholic tradition, which is, before you were even baptized, you were a sinner. But that was a man-made thing where 100 years ago I forget, some big conference, the bishops had, they were deciding, was it a wound or was it a sin or a gift that we were bringing into this world? And suddenly we're all sinners and we're kind of going, oh my God, what have I done wrong? We don't even know what we've done wrong, right? Truth is, we've done nothing wrong. It's just how it was given to us, so we constantly feel it's not okay to be ourselves. And you
May I just interfere after 20 years living in Ireland, guys? If you don't know it, it's real. It's real. This sits in the DNA, the Irish, like anything, you eat fish on Wednesday and you're a sinner. There's this real strong influence and fear, and that wounding from the Catholic Church is really, really, even in every day, you notice this, that it's there. So when Annita is telling this is serious, pressure and conditioning.
it is really true. Peer conditioning, peer pressure, living in society, yes, you can be yourself as long as you do what I tell you, which
Yes, yes, yeah.
being yourself, right? So the messages are mixed the whole way through, but this becomes like the words that are inside, deep inside in our hearts are, if I am myself, I'm going to be rejected.
Mm.
If I am myself, I'm not going to be loved. So it kind of it literally sets up a whole series of behaviors, which your Chiron tells you that you will activate to avoid at all costs being yourself. You will compromise, you will and it'll keep you driving to prove then
Mm.
fake self or your false self or your mask, when actually the real fear is that you're afraid to show up as yourself. So imagine how this kicks into your marketing. The thing is this is a deep wound. It's a big blind spot for all of us. So there's no reasoning with it. There's no logic to it. It's literally the nervous system is protecting us. And we need to, chip it out of that. But we're the only ones that see that it's not safe to shine here. Everyone else who looks at us says, oh my God, why aren't you doing that? You're amazing at it. And you'll have 20 excuses for why you don't. And it makes sense. It's reasonable, but it's not necessarily true. So what happens is then the science behind it is you're fearing rejection, your reticular activating system or your antenna. The way you would have an antenna well, we don't really have it with the phones, but when I grew up, we had these antenna with the TV to the rabbit's ears, You are scanning your environment for rejection. And so you're bringing in people who are rejecting you. So, for example, my Chiron is 63, which is doubt. And what I brought in as a kid was, I would, as a 5-1 projector, I really do. And you as a projector, we have a really unique way of seeing the truth and seeing what is. And as kids, I think the saying, out of the mouth of babes, is where that comes. You'll say the truth. I would say the truth, and I would be immediately negated, corrected, doubted, questioned, And so my big learning has been trust myself. Trust myself, trust my guidance. And when I move off that platform, for me, it shows up when I'm a bit nervous. I will start going to my reference library. I'm a 5-1, so I love to investigate. I'll investigate everything. And by the time I'm done investigating, my own unique take is gone.
It's gone.
Loved, right? And I have the 14-8, so that means I will compromise my message to fit in. And it's like, it's not something we're doing wrong, and that's really important. The big thing is that we refuse to show up. We really refuse to show up. It's not procrastination. It's not that we're not showing up. It's not that there's something causing us not to show up. Like there's a deep, deep intrinsic energy within that's saying, not safe. I'm just not doing it. I don't care what you do. And as you said, Juliette, Cheeker, sorry, I don't know why I'm saying Judith. Anyway, as you say, what we do is we jump into perfectionism, we jump into overthinking, we jump into overdoing, overgiving, overextending everything. And it's all to try to be accepted. I don't know, does that make sense? That's kind of like
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I love how you were, so of course nothing works in isolation, right? So we're looking at Annita's design as a 5-1, a projector, 5-1 as well. Fifth line has this ability to see the clarity, a little bit kind of not so much bird's eye view, but you know, in the kind of the metaphor for the lines is like in the house, you know, and the first line is maybe foundation, but the fifth line is there on the second floor, so it has the view of the mess that we're all in, right? It can go and has this clarity, and the child, you know, expressing this, and straight away there's a projection. But what we're talking about is the flavor of that projection with the 63, which is my earth. I know all about, you know, that gate of doubt, you know. So this gate of doubt, whereas, and they doubt you, and then you doubt yourself, you know, and then this doubt kicks in, whereas it's a shadow, it's the wound, you know, but there is a gift to the doubt, right?
Exactly.
Inquiry. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like there's a kind of a pathway for this. You become aware of the wound. And that, you know, you can see it in your astrology chart actually. If you look in astrodayanus.com, you will see your Chiron in your astrology chart. And then you can relate it back to your human design with the key. But it depends on where it is, what house it occupies, what star sign it's occupying, and then the human design. Really, what the human design does is it helps you to understand how to manage and master.
Mm-hmm.
The wound then is when we're a victim of it. When and it's an energy thing, you know, it's we don't know how to manage our energy, so we become a victim of everyone else's energy around us. So
Mm.
it's really energetic. So awareness is one thing. The next thing is learning how to manage your energies, which to me is I look at the three things: my earth, my heaven, and my human luck, which is what the stars are doing, are the planets. So what energies am I swimming in right now? Human design, how do I interact with that to stay in my flow? And the feng shui is let's organize my home or my office or my environment to fully support that so that at least I'm controlling what I can control. Because as you know, there's so much we can't. So, but I am in my energetic space. And of course, then at the 50-year stage, what happens is the crisis around, like, we're triggered by being asked to show up, right, as ourselves. The crisis or the impact of that escalates and intensifies as you move into your 50th birthday. So if it's in the house of relationships, you'll find your relationships will like go to pot. Or if it's in the house of fears, you'll find you're overly afraid of doing things. If it's in the house, for me, in my ninth house, teaching, I just won't teach. I will constantly question myself, well, will I teach this or will I teach that? And I'll just, overwhelm myself. And so it's about learning how to manage that energy, because when you do, you kind of move out of the other side of this as an influencer. You're magnetic. Your antenna is set in, well, I'm accepting myself. I know who I am. I'm not taking anybody else's word for it anymore. And I have my antenna up, and I'm attracting people who want this. I'm attracting people who want to be around this and who want some of this. And of course, you can see how that would change even how I would word my marketing. And this is where I'll hand it back to you, like, because I would word, I would swallow up my marketing in too much information. That would be my way of garbling or sounding like I'm speaking through water. I was trying to talk to you through water. Another way I would do it is, as I said earlier, I get so distracted in all the other opinions that I lose mine. So with the Chiron, it's like Mercury. It's about your communication. Chiron is about your energetic awareness. We've all walked into the room and know when people are talking about us. We all know when someone is not well, or not happy or angry or depressed, even though they have a smile on their face. We pick it up, right? This is where we pick the stuff up. And this is where we're super sensitive to, ooh, are they rejecting me? And what happens is we project the rejection. Oh, they're not going to like it. And so we're creating karma now. We're generating karma. We're snowballing the resistance to being ourselves. And there's so many people out there. I laugh and I laugh when I started this journey. So many people going, I just want to be myself. And I'm kind of there. Well, that's what's triggering the hell out of you. Because being
Yeah.
yourself is triggering this rejection energy in us. And, guess what? We have a threshold. It is genuinely a journey. It's learning to accept yourself more, honor yourself more, see yourself more. And you take responsibility for that job.
I
And
love that. May I just interfere just for 1 second? Because I know some of our listeners just rewind back and they were like, what house? What are you talking about? Aren't you guys about human design? This says on marketing human design behind me. I just want to, guys, if you didn't know that, and Annita is not just a human design person, right? Annita is like as I said, treasure trove of everything. First of all, she is a master of feng shui, right? She knows astrology, and you know that if you followed our transits and tactics, astrology, really good insights and understanding of astrology. Because everything, and human design, and everything else, the work with angels, everything else. The thing is that human design, every of those systems give us a different little insight. And I'm becoming myself also, it's not enough. Human design is really good for strategy. It's practical. It tells us what to do with it. It's really strategic. If you want to contemplate, then you probably need to go into Gene Keys and listen and read and contemplate these gates that you have your Chiron, and maybe they're different gates. For me, on both sides, Chiron is in gate 3 on my personality and on design side. I'm not sure, Annita, about yours, but you can contemplate if you want to contemplate. But if you need strategy, human design is really good. If you need to know where specifically, what area it affects, then you'd need to know astrology and the houses and all this stuff that I don't I know of, I'm not expert enough to discuss, but this is why I love Annita. And we wanted to do this, and Annita even offered, to kind of talk about my chart, but I was like, yeah, of course, because this year the Chiron went into retrograde. But Chiron actually, was it Chiron that was in my gate during this retrograde, gate 3?
it did go through gate 3 for a couple of months this year.
It did, yeah. It battered me senseless. I can just describe it like this. Like I can describe this year, 2025, for me, especially the second part of the year, as being completely bashed by life. And I know that the bashing was so that I, in a way, wake up and let go of things that don't serve me and actually put myself first and face myself and start. And ultimately, because ironically, this ended up with me doing therapy and finding out about the kind of inner child approach. And I know that this, if you never went into it, it's the kind of like one of those buzzwords. But this was the time when I reconnected with who I was. So what Anita is saying about you and the rejection and being afraid of rejection of you, not being loved by others, for me, this whole bashing came to that point where I actually had to look within and find that little girl inside and start the inner dialogue and start healing from that. And so that even if I'm alone, I can be together with myself. And this was really important. So it just really resonated. And then knowing that all that was happening while Chiron was in retrograde, which means that it just passed all that responsibility for healing, for learning, for this awareness back to me. And it's a longish retrograde. It's a few months. It's not like that it's only there for a couple of weeks. So you really get thrown into the deep end. And it's painful, because it is wounding, I was all my childhood triggers and wounds, and I couldn't even tell what they were, but I could sense that they were all there because it started reminding me of how I felt when I was a little girl, and then knowing then that it's going through the same gate that my Chiron return, which is just in 2 years, is going to be again in that gate. And this is, if I don't heal this, if I don't look at this now, then comes that time. And I'm sort of like, the way I see is like, you can get stuck in that wounding then after your Chiron return, because you had all these 50 years cycle to learn about, and grow and be aware and use this, as your power, which you can. And this is what we are talking about today. And yet I see people who are stuck. And when you start looking at where they are stuck and you look at their chart, it's actually the Chiron wounding that is the biggest problem for them.
Mhm.
And I don't believe that everybody's like, you can be stuck, but it's up to you. Even if you're 90, you can gain the awareness. The awareness, it's like a lightning bolt that highlighted everything. And now you see, so you can't be stuck anymore. You already see that you're stuck. That's the moment when you become or start becoming unstuck, when you gain awareness, what is keeping you stuck, right? It's just in human nature. And I love that. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to share because this firsthand experience this year, and this is why we're even recording this, because I kept asking Annita, what's going on? Tell me what's in the planets. It's insane. How is this battering me so badly? And
Okay.
this really what it is.
Yeah. So the three, the wound, you become aware, the healing, the wound healing. This is where you can get wound focused. This is where you can stay in. And it is from an early time in your life. So it is all about the inner child. But I just wanted to relate it from a different context because you're moving from victim of it into creator. You're moving
Mm,
from it's happening to me into, and that's all the work of parenting yourself. I mean, what I described, I love me, I accept me, I see me, I know me, is me parenting myself.
yeah.
That's the example of it. And so we're moving into being saying, well, okay, this is a shit show. What am I going to do about it? So it's identifying where you're out of alignment and what do you need to do, how do you need to address this crisis to stop yourself from cycling in it, as in, on the hamster wheel and move through it over to the other side? And that's where the work is. Like that's where the awareness and the combination of energetic practice allows you to move through that. And your human
It's
design
beautiful. Mm,
tells you how you do that. It is like it feels different life cycles in our lives. There's natural ones. They feel like your life is blowing up if you
mm,
don't know what's happening. The ability to be able to step back and go, okay, I'm in my Chiron return. All right. Okay. Now, what am I doing? So for me, where am I doubting myself? Where am I giving someone authority over me, their opinion authority? I need to take this back and what is true for me. And that's
mm.
why the design is so key because we do this with respect to learning our authority. What is your inner yes,
Yeah.
no? That's how you discern and that's how you move through it. And it's, as I said, it's really painful when you're going through it. And it's understand and you know what I have to say to you in fairness, this year has been like, and the last few months have been a massive invitation from Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, the sun, all our personal planets, and Jupiter and Uranus to help us say, listen, it's time to get over our childhood crisis. It's time to stop believing in this idealistic BS that we've been fed for so long. And it's time to take charge of what it is you need to create in your life and what you need to let go to do that. So it's been like your Chiron on steroids, to be honest, Juliet.
Yes, it really is truly, it's really, I'm thinking that maybe it will be practical. And guys, we had this agreement, so I'm not just like picking Anita's brain, but we were talking about using, so maybe we can talk about my Chiron, as I mentioned, on both sides is in gate 3. Maybe we can talk about, first of all, what gate 3 represents in human design and Gene Keys and, and so on. What does it bring? And then we can maybe discuss this, the wounding and how to, like, the strategy for me, for example, and I can absolutely share the feedback and inner thinking about this and how, how to step in. And although sometimes I feel like I'm kind of halfway there, but it's interesting. So let's just go the practical as an example. So then you can follow this path of thinking for your gates.
Okay, okay. So what's your understanding of the gate 3 would be
The
probably
gate 3 is difficulty in the beginning. And looking at my life, everything that I start, there's always this difficulty, this confusion. And when I'm confused, I hold back. I often laugh that I'm very slow, and maybe because I'm a first line, because it's true. It's like a rock, that moves very slowly. But I think that there's more to it. And so the Chiron then shows me the confusion where it's to do with, and I love what we started with, Annita, the rejection, because it's true. It's true. When I was writing my first book, I had a huge imposter syndrome moment, and it was about rejection. It was about somebody calling me out that how do you write a book about what human design like types are and authorities, and if you're not an analyst. You don't have a complete knowledge of it. How dare you? And I was sitting on my hands for weeks, feeling like I will be rejected if I will say, this is what I see. This is me, myself. I love analyzing life. I'm with 1-3. I analyze life and I share it, and in abundance, kind of. So that's being me. But what if they reject me? And now I'm saying this, and I remember 9 years ago when I just started, and I didn't know I'm going to be talking about human design then. I just knew that I need to be, creating noise online and doing something. And my background was then digital marketing. So I said, okay, I had a very good understanding of WordPress as a user, as, not like as a developer who codes, but as someone who uses it and builds on it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to talk about WordPress. And here's that rejection and confusion, because I remember recording myself on video to talk about WordPress, and I had the same sense, the confusion that somebody, and I even made up exactly who will call that I know, that will ring me and say, how dare you, Juliette, talk about web design? You do not have a web developer background. You do not dare to talk to the masses about this. And this whole thing, and it's confusing because it's not because you don't know. It's because you think that you're going to be called out and rejected and not loved. And that's, being myself. So difficulty in the beginning for me represents going into that beginning with an open head, heart, and sort of carry on doing what you're doing despite the fact that they can point a finger at you, and it's really scary. And I know that it could have stopped me probably, but I'm just naturally very resilient. So I keep on keeping on. However, there's a lot of little areas in my life that I probably don't keeping on, because I'm afraid of rejection. So that thing never happens. And maybe that's why I'm not, as further down the line, even in my business and growth as I could have been. But that's my story and that's my journey. I don't really doubt that. I just keep on keeping on with it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It is a journey. It's some myth. I don't know who made this up, that there's an end point, that there's a
Yes.
reaching the perfection point, that there's reaching this, I'm enlightened now. Which
Yeah.
as soon as you feel enlightened is a breakthrough and an insight. And if you're enlightened, I can guarantee you a pound to a pinch of you know what. Someone will come in with a new lesson for you, because that's what it's about. It's just a new interaction with a new person that you go, oh my God, how do I deal with this? It's like so funny. But when with the business, it is a growth. I would call entrepreneurship the personal development Olympics. And when people don't get that, it's a real challenge. Like, it's so easy to burn yourself out, and so easy to to literally end up like quitting, because part of the rejection thing, but the other part is recognizing that, with your energy, that 3 with your Chiron, it's in the 12th house. So for you, so the 12th house is the house of deep fears, transformation, what's hidden. And it's also magic. It's also the magic of, and Taurus is the energy of, it's on the money line. So your Chiron, if you're resisting new beginnings or innovative beginnings, you'll find that impacts your money. It in fact impacts the
This is so true, guys. I am sitting right now on like 5 amazing offers that I could be offering in my business. But this is to begin for me. The most profitable offers that I've had in my business were probably I have this really, I have this ideas dumping journal, and it was like my most profitable offer was in here for a year before I sold the first one, and then it just became such a great machine in my business. And this is what happens, so you're right. It's like you're sitting on your hands because you're afraid to start something innovative, because it's confusing. It's like a complete confusion in the beginning, but confusion not because you don't know what to do and how to do it. it's the rejection. It's like, what if they don't like it? What if they don't love me because I do this?
What if
Or
they don't?
call me out that I don't dare do this because I just want to be me. I don't want to do it like others do it. I don't want to do it like they expect me to do it. I just want to do it the way I do it.
Yeah,
Right?
I
And it's
love that.
interesting. And
Yeah.
there's no magic when you don't. You said magic. So it's only when you lean in into the confusion and you allow your magic to shine, you know, that's when business becomes easy. And not just business, everything becomes easy because it's not just business. It's the frequency you activate, and things outside business also start coming to you. You know, there's so much more than just business. We separate ourselves from business, but people like us whose business is like an extension of our contribution to the collective, to the world, we can't do that. We can't separate. You know, obviously you can separate the time, you know, that you're working on your business or rest. Yeah. But you don't separate it from yourself. This is your business, is your self-expression through this. And then there is a transactional agreements with some people who really appreciate you and want access to you, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
And the thing is, for you're working in a job and you're afraid to show up as yourself. To me, the difference between a good engineer and a great engineer is one who can tap into their
mhm.
genius, and be able to know how to do that, to lean into that amazingness is just phenomenal. Because here's another insight with your, I mean, it's layers in. I mean, what I want to call out as well is this is real, guys. These are the things that no one talks about. These are the things that no one says. They say, oh, go out and do this and do this and do this and you'll be done. And you're sitting there going, why the hell is everybody else able to do it and I'm not? Why am I? Don't know. Am I? And we make ourselves wrong, right?
Mhm.
Which is the case at all. Like this is a genuine bona fide challenge that we're bringing into our lives that to show up in. So I wanted to say that for you, but also that gate 3 is activating the individual circuitry. So you're the pioneer, naturally.
Yeah.
You're stepping out of what's conventional and into an innovative new solution for the old problem, right? So the beauty of this is realizing that this is tough in itself to be the pioneer. This is why you're always going to attract the naysayers, because you're going to be the first one always to do it.
May I also say this is interesting because I don't attract naysayers. They do not show up. Nobody reaches out and says to me, how dare you talk about this? You don't have experience. This is all in my head.
Yeah.
Not once I had that conversation. This is all in my head. And with the pioneer thing as well, this is again, there is no destination. It's not like you're suddenly, did something innovative, became a pioneer. You know what happens when you're a pioneer? And I'm not kind of bitching or ranting right now, but when you're a pioneer, very soon there'll be a sea of people copying what you do. And so you will have to evolve again. And this is what I'm facing. And in business, a lot of people complain, oh, they copy what I do. Own the fact that you were a pioneer in something and the fact that they will inevitably copy. In fact, the better you are, the more they will copy you. They will take your words. Your clients will take your, things you do for your business. And don't hold it against them because that's your role, right? You're a born pioneer, you will have to evolve all the time. It's not a destination, it's a process. And you know what, to get my head around it, it's so empowering when I say this now because it was really, there's a moment in every pioneer's journey where you hit the wall because your business starts slowing down because other people who are copying you are now in competition with you. So you kind of have to go to the next level. And I love that. And if Chiron forces me to face this confusion again and again and again and again. Before it was like, oh my God, what's going on? Something's wrong with me. I'm lazy. I'm this and that, any excuse in the book. Now there's this awareness. Ooh, this is my process. This is actually, with that pioneering, you have to be courageous. You have to accept yourself and not reject yourself. You have to be direct and understand that not everybody will like it. And also you have to understand that when you're direct and you give your advice to someone, they also have authority to take it or leave it. And you have to be okay with it too. There's so much. And I find that this is where the power then happens. This is where instead of wounding, this becomes a medicine. This becomes a power. This becomes something that's like a backbone for you. and you can be cocky about what you do and how you show up, and gives you this confidence. And I firsthand am feeling as I'm approaching my current return and through this horrible retrograde, that's what it did. It gave me more um, reasons, because I contemplated all of this, more reasons to show up, more reasons to be cocky about my opinions, because it's what I shine. If you don't like it, don't look at my light.
Yeah,
Simple.
exactly. And the thing with the pioneer is, as you say, with this individual circuitry, you're always reinventing yourself. So, and you're coming up against the social norm, which is saying, oh, are you doing something different again? Like, why don't you just stick to one thing?
Mm,
And you're kind of
yeah.
there, no, that's not how it works for me. It might work for you, but it certainly doesn't work for me, right? Also,
I
with that,
just want to show you because it's so funny, and I have to like turn around, and I'm getting into Batsy astrology, and in a couple of years, people will be like, Juliette, but aren't you about human design? Maybe I'll write a book on Batsy astrology or on marketing and Batsy astrology. Who knows, because you have to evolve. And it's funny how you just mentioned this, and because the society, and it's scary, the rejection. I have those thoughts already. What are you doing studying this when you should be studying human design more? I'm like, no, this is not the uniqueness that I'm bringing. So whatever helps,
exactly.
I will bring it.
Exactly. That's the thing. And I like my daughter has this energy. I know a number of people with this energy. And her challenge is that she battles with the change. It's a natural, because it's Taurus, I'll refer to it as the seedling growing, breaking through the soil. So there's a natural battle with it that if we judge that battle or that wrangling, that struggle, we can get stuck in it. So
Mm.
what I say, she'll be, and it's part of her process. So she does the struggle and she goes through it, and I'm there, yeah, well, as soon as you're ready to give up the struggle, and lean in, you're through. And
Yes. It's
she,
so true. And breakthroughs happen like this, but it's exactly what you just mentioned. It's when you give up that struggle. I know that firsthand as well. You resist all these, the moment you're just leaning into this. Whoa, it's like, turbo speed
yeah,
instantly.
exactly. And this is where the Chiron helps us realign, because part of the realignment is recognizing, hang on, I can't solve this problem from this pressure, from the level at which I'm creating it. I need to step back and realign my energy so that I'm seeing a different perspective and I'm allowing it to go through. It's really massive, like, and as I said, it's your Chiron on steroids this year, because all the energies are saying, how do you deal with a crisis? Because often our opportunities come from the crisis. So if you're all in about it and in the fears of it, you will recreate that crisis over and over, as
Yeah.
opposed to realizing, oh my God, okay, here it is. This isn't a result that we want. What do we want differently? And how do we go about adjusting our energy to magnetize that instead? Because, it's like dialing the radio, going from 101 FM out to 105 FM. It's really crackly. You can't hear anything, right? So you go back to 101 FM and you're there, here, I'm back in connection with my guidance. I can now.
Mm.
And to know how to do that, that's where I come in. That's where I teach people. How do you know when you're off? So you know when you're off is when you're struggling with that change. You're struggling with the new thing you're bringing in. Like I'm similar. I have a one line in my profile, so I will always be researching. I'll be probably on my deathbed going, "Oh my God, I got this new book on." And I probably, I never, and you should see, like my husband, if I get another book, I'm going to be divorced. But it's just how I operate, and I know that. And what I do is when I do research, I bring it in. I go for a walk. I let it percolate. I let it, because I have individual energy as well. And this is how your way of doing it. And I let my own message come through. Because this is the thing, the fear of being myself or shining for me means that I'm only rabbiting out someone else's message. So
Mm.
when I allow myself and understand that this information through my filter is what people need to hear, that I am going to bring into my life. This is what they need to hear to bring them that clarity, to bring them that great breakthrough. Now, there can be 100,000 people, millions of people doing this on the planet, but it's my unique energy and how I deliver is what people can hear. And you're the same. It's when you grappling is part of your process. So let's
Oh, I
embrace.
love that. I love what you just said because it's true. It's about admitting that anything I start, and that's how I'm approaching everything now. Anything new, difficulty in the beginning. That's my core wound. I can get upset about it. I can get caught up that it's not working out in the beginning. But I come in to something completely new, and I announce now. It's so funny. I started doing ceramics this year to kind of slow myself down. But I came in and I announced. I said, I'm gonna suck. I'm gonna enjoy every minute because I'm gonna create some crazy, horrible looking things. And I'm just going to suck until I don't suck. And whenever that happens, that happens. And I keep going and I still make weird things. But it's not about that. It's about the fact that, there is difficulty in the beginning. So I know now, I'm going to go through this and I'm going to allow myself that it's going to be confusing because it's not difficult sometimes as in physical difficulty. Sometimes it's just there's no clarity. You don't know what you're doing. You literally don't know what you're doing. You don't know where it's heading. You don't know. But if you lean into this, the clarity comes much faster. If you continue, just stick with it. That's my lesson. A couple of years ago, I started my air yoga, never did any sports before ever in my life. And I was, 47, did the air yoga. The first 3 months, I was the loudest, the moaniest person. And we still joke whenever new people come in and they're like, oh, it's hard. And like, look at Juliette, she's my pride and joy. But I was the moaniest, I could not be pushed. I don't take authority very well. So somebody says to me, no, you can. I'd be arguing. No, I can't. I know better. And then maybe 6 months later, I didn't even notice. I was literally the best, the strongest, the fittest in the class at that stage. And I don't know when it happened. This is what I'm talking about. The difficulty in the beginning, the breakthrough, you don't even notice it. Well, what you have to do is lean into the difficulty. Just keep on keeping on through it. And then suddenly, it's not like you're realizing you are getting better. Suddenly, you're super good. And this is the story, after I finished school, my mom thought maybe I should, do a hairdressing course we were in the 90s, post-Soviet Estonia, there was no jobs. And I started the course and I was so lazy and I wasn't like practicing, I was just chatting with the girls and got a lot of bollocking for that from my teachers. And then I said, okay, I'm going to stick to it because it was hard and confusing and I didn't really, it wasn't working out straight away. And I don't know how, but when I graduated, they said, you're the best student we have ever had. I still don't know how. I never worked as a hairdresser after this. It just was the course. But again, just to demonstrate and knowing, I think, what you guys take away from this. Find out your gate. And actually, no, you know what? I'm going to have a different proposition, a different invitation for you. And because I'm not inviting you to come and do it for myself, I can do this. I can extend this invitation. Why don't you reach out to Annita and let Annita look at your Chiron gate? Because it's not going to be just you looking and then, oh, what's next? But this could be your process from becoming aware and then leaning into it so it becomes your power. Annita, how are you about this kind of invitation?
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually prompted because it's a big player in my chart this year to create a course around this, getting to know your Chiron, how to manage your energy and how to know your design through this and, get out the other side. As you described I started something new. It was a real struggle at the start and then suddenly I was really good. And
Mm,
that's the key to the individual circuitry. It's like you start embodying it. So it's a
mm,
no-brainer. I was the same. I couldn't memorize information. I was only able to, um, I would listen to the lecture. I had to go to the lecture. I got the concept. I got it. It was a kind of an inner click. And then I didn't really have to study that much to pull it out because once I understood the concept, I was able to deliver the outcome.
mm,
Same with the golf, and I do it all the time. Golf is really hard. You need a thick neck and honest to God, gate three energy, determination to keep pushing through. And here's the thing, it's knowing when to push through and knowing
mm,
it, and that's the awareness, that's the energy or the wisdom, the mastery. When do I push through? What's my correct timing here? And to understand that from your human design, and
mm.
that's you become a master. Like you start embracing it. With golf, I would be there going, the more I think it, oh, I should do this, I should do this. it's a gunner. Forget it. Like,
But that's the doubt, right? That's your gate of doubt. The more you doubt,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like with me, it's like the more I'm confused and I think that I'm bad and I will resist. The more you doubt, you will resist taking action that you need to take.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, it's recognizing it. I think it's really beautiful. That's why it's so valuable. And because this is not like as I mentioned, if you do your human design chart, you can't see Chiron. But I think it's so worth having your Chiron return session, or if you do the course, Annita, it would be so fantastic as well. For now, before you have the course, guys, reach out to Annita.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The thing is about this is the one that will keep tripping you up
Yes.
because you'll be doing all the work. You'll be doing everything that your marketer has told you. You'll be doing all the things in business and you're still not getting the results. It's because you're hiding behind your Chiron, most likely.
It's it's true because we were talking about big things. Like I was telling you this story, like I'm now the best at air yoga. Actually, I'm not. It's a cycle. I was the best for a while, then I went down, and it's like it's a cycle. But on the everyday basis, it's also very important. On an everyday basis, we're struggling with the same things. Like I'm struggling because it's difficult. For me, if I fell off the wagon, for example, with my email marketing, it's so difficult internally to restart because it's confusing. How do I, and this is the rejection thing. This is so transparently, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. But say I didn't send an email for a month, a whole month, I didn't send my list an email. These people signed up to me. They're waiting for me to speak, and I am thinking, how can I start speaking? I haven't been active for a while. How can I even start? How, like, they will reject me because they'll be like, oh, who is this? And all unsubscribe. This is talking from conditioning. This is not how I, as an empowered Juliette, think, right? But there is this other voice, and that's what it does. And I sit there on my hands, and I'm afraid to send an email out of the blue because I'm afraid that I'm not going to be loved because I wasn't there all the time. But it feels difficult, and then you have the idea or something happened, or maybe I usually use my publicity, oh, there's a podcast. So I use that to lean into this difficulty and then build on that. And you know what? It just takes 2, 3, 4 times, and then you're in the momentum. And I already know, don't break the momentum because you're going to go back to that difficulty in the beginning. And we have these cycles in our businesses on every day. It could be posting on social. It could be, blogging. It could be seeking out opportunities. I have the same issue now restarting my podcast Visibility by Design. For 2 years I'm restarting it. Seriously, but it's all about this confusion. Oh, how am I going to just like record the first thing? Just go ahead and do it. And that's my lesson, because that's the gate 3. It just says, just go ahead and do it. Even if it feels weird, even if you don't know what you're going to talk about. I didn't really know what we're going to talk about today when we were recording this. And it turned out to be, I think, a really, really good episode, which we are going to wrap up now, guys. But, this is, I'm just saying there's so many nuggets, and it's about watching, not just in a big sense, because we also sometimes, we can exaggerate, we sensationalize. Oh, my Chiron returns, something big. No, it's in your everyday. It's showing up just as much.
That's a really important point because, the Mercury is about your thoughts, how you're thinking. Chiron is about your energy. Where is your energy? Are you stressed out in fight or flight, or are you actually grounded and centered? So the reset, the energetic hygiene now, or the energetic, what I call enlightened self-care, which is understanding that energy work is a daily practice. It combines,
Yes.
do it while you're brushing your teeth. It is really, really key to resetting your Chiron and aligning back. And when we fall off, it's not even falling off the wagon. That in itself is a judgment. When we do step out for a while, it just means we're human.
Yeah,
It's not
totally.
means we're human. It's just more scary for entrepreneurs than if you're in work. You can kind of, you know, take the foot off the pedal and work and still get paid.
Still get paid, exactly, with the entrepreneurship. I mean, I'm an ambassador of creating systems that allow you to sometimes step back. But I've been this year, I was battered. I stepped back from my business, and I could see that this wave that I was really on this wave. There was attraction marketing was working and everything. It started waning. It started going down, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I can't do this. I can't afford doing this because this is a whole, there is a lot at stakes. I'm the sole provider.
Yeah.
This is a lot at stake. But how do you restart? And that is not so simple for me in my case with this
Yeah.
gate.
Part of your Chiron.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's another thing about the energy. We can consciously manage our energy to get into that space of balance. And that's where we start getting making the decisions and taking the actions that support our prosperity as well. I mean, this has so many facets that benefit you to know this. It tells you what your behavior patterns are. When you're kind of there, no, no, I'm showing up, and your behavior is going, no, I'm doubting, I'm showing up with someone else's information instead of my own. It's so just to be aware that to know to reset that is really cool. And I really appreciate your as you say, your transparency, Juliet, because this is what people want. Well, this is what I wanted to hear. I don't want to see someone absolutely perfect up there making a gazillion dollars and kind of going, just do what I'm doing. It just drives me crazy, right? Whereas I want to see people who are real, who tell me what the journey was like to get there. They didn't just
Mhm.
appear and be brilliant at whatever they were doing. It was the journey to accept their brilliance and then express that in their business. So,
I love it. I absolutely love it. And you know what? Just in all fairness to those shiny ones that say, just do what I do, they did it in a certain
yeah,
way. And some, serendipity, effort, circumstances, everything, they did it. And so, but this is a topic for another,
yeah, yeah,
there could be a particular energy type as well, because that's why
yeah.
they say, I did it, so can you. But in reality, it's not really, even if you're the same energy type, because what they did is their unique thing. What you do is very different. Guys, listen, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope that you could make sense. And I think that the bottom line of this episode today was that there are hidden elements. They're not, public knowledge in a way, but those hidden elements are probably that one hook. Like I said, when in Anita's case, it's doubt. In my case, difficulty in the beginning. Now you have awareness, and this is the light. This is now in the light. You're no longer going to be, wondering why you're stuck. You know why you're stuck, and you also given straight away the key, straight away the medicine for this wonder, right? Straight away, you know what to do. For me, go through. For Annita, take responsibility and don't doubt yourself. You deserve this. If you said something that is kind of like up to discussion, so let's discuss, and you can always change your opinion. This is not, a tattoo. You can, and it's not a reason for holding back, because at the end of the day, we can hold back all our lives, right? But then we never fulfill our potential, and most people don't. So I don't want to be one of those people who don't fulfill my potential. And this Chiron return showed me that I have to sacrifice a couple of things that holding me back, because they're putting me into limitation that I can't do. And it was really heartbreaking. This year has been very, on my personal level, life was very, very heartbreaking. But there's a bigger picture. And so, yes, there is that difficulty, difficult decisions, difficulty, confusion. But then there's a trajectory that I am on. And so, and this is what we want for you. This is what we want for you. We want for you to feel cocky, I love that word, but maybe a little bit cocky about your trajectory, and knowing the Chiron, what it does to you. Oh, it's so liberating. The moment you know what it does to you, you don't allow it to do it to you because you are now able to recognize it next time you notice that it's doing that. And that is priceless. Guys, thank you so much for being with us. We will see you in the next episode of Lighthouse Projector series. We're always so, so, so happy if you reach out, contact us, definitely book a session with Annita or whatever she's doing Chiron wise at the moment when you're watching this. Reach out. The links are in the description to this video, and we will see you in the next episode of Lighthouse Projector series. Thank you again. Bye.